If you guys clicked on this video, then chances are that you have an older car that you're trying to restore. You might be on a little bit of a budget like myself. The bumpers in question are off of my 1956 Chevy. Next couple of weeks, we're hopefully going to be starting to paint this car. One other area that definitely needs a lot of attention are the front and rear bumpers, and that's where we're going to get started on today. Bring you guys in a little closer. We have some surface rust. We actually have a little bit of a hole right there, which I forgot about. But overall, chrome, much like the rest of the car, has really just seen better days. I don't know if any of you guys have looked into the cost to re-chrome one of these things recently, but it's not cheap. So we're going to try and find a little cheat code for this. And I'm going to show you guys what we have for that right now. So in this roll on top of my Camaro is chrome vinyl wrap. And what we're going to attempt to do is to clean all the surface rust and the holes on our bumper. And we're going to see if we can get this wrap to adhere to that bumper. So like I said, cost to re-chrome one of these is astronomical. You have to send the actual bumper out because in a lot of states, I happen to be in New York, they've actually outlawed the process for re-chroming bumpers. And I think it's changed over the last couple of years as well. So I'm not really sure what the finished product even looks like, but you basically have to ship these out. This thing is probably 4.5, 5 feet long, maybe even longer. And they're not very light. So that's gonna add to the cost as well. So I've never wrapped anything except for like a Christmas gift here and there, but I figure what better way to give it a shot than to practice on something that's already kind of destined for the dumpster. So let's rip this thing apart. We're going to take all of the bumper brackets off. We're going to take these off the license plate holder, and then we'll get started. I think once this is broken down, first order of business is going to be kind of sand this down, clean it up, and then we'll try our hand at some vinyl wrap. So we're just going to start with trying to knock all of these brackets and bolts loose. Going well so far. Now, if you happen to break any of the fasteners off like I did a minute ago, don't be too concerned. They do have new hardware for this available. That's actually very reasonable. I bought it for my dad's 57, and what they are the chrome carriage bolts that you'll see on the outside of the bumper that kind of hold everything together. The hardware on this is pretty much not savable at this point, so whatever I can't loosen up with the impact gun, we'll cut off and replace after we have the bumper wrapped. All right, so where we left it off yesterday, I was basically fighting all of those carriage bolts holding the bumper brackets on. Tried knocking the nuts off the back with the impact, no luck. So I ended up having to cut the studs and the nuts from the back side, but we got everything off. All of our bumper brackets and everything are there. I'm gonna clean those up and paint them obviously before they go back on the car. The bumper free and clear. Now we can start knocking some of this surface rust and pitting chrome off. And then we're going to do that with a palm sander. It doesn't need to be perfect, but anything flaking, any raised edges or anything like that, we want to knock down. And then any parts that need some attention, right here, I'm actually not 100% sure what I'm going to do yet. I don't know if I'm going to sand that and maybe just try and put some like fiberglass reinforced filler in there. Don't know yet. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but we want it to look better than it does right now. It's with a fresh coat of paint on that car eventually. Last thing you want is the bumpers being an eyesore on there. So I have my palm sander set up, ready to go. And we're just going to start, try and knock this down and smooth it out. Saw me working with the palm sander there. Started with 80, went up to 320, smoothed it down, and I already started in some spots, but you could see we actually got down to the copper plating in some spots, so still have a little bit more to do, but anywhere where we got down to the copper or there was heavy surface rust, I hit with rust converter paint. So I'll do all the trouble spots with that. Then we are going to go, and I'm not sure if I'm going to prime this entire thing or paint it, but I want everything to be uniform so that the vinyl sticks equally in every place that we apply it. So, like I said, touch up a few more spots. Once that dries, I'm actually going to flip this over. We'll probably coat the inside of it as well. And then we can start doing some body filler in some of the spots where it was heavily pitted. We'll do another coat of sanding, one more final coat of paint or primer, and then we can start wrapping. Time to mix a little filler. Using the cheap stuff for this, just because I don't really know how this is going to come out. So a little experiment here, but didn't want to use the good stuff. All right, so we got that applied. I picked this up at the auto body supply place. I think this is called onion board. I've seen a couple people use it, but it's pretty nice. You don't have to spend half your day scraping off whatever you're mixing filler on. Just tear it off, and that's the next one you use. So a little small, but you should always try and apply filler in small batches anyway. That was actually the reason that I didn't film applying the filler, because a little humid out today, and I wasn't sure how quick it was going to set, and actually started to harden up pretty quickly. So, but I got the filler on. Laid it on a little thick. We'll do plenty of sanding on this, make sure it's nice and smooth. But all the pinholes, any spots where I possibly slipped with the grinder, because, you know, not perfect. Filled that in, come back, sand it, hit it with another coat, and then we should be hopefully ready to go with some vinyl, but we'll see what happens. All right, so after knocking off all of the heavy stuff, I hit this with a block and 80 grit. Now I'm gonna come along with 180. We'll do a final pass on everything. Do a second coat of filler if we missed anything or any spots that need a little bit of attention. Then we can flip it over, spray the back with rust converter. These blocks are pretty good too, because they are flexible and they just accept regular hook and loop sandpaper. As you just saw there, we went around the back side of the bumper, knocked some of the heavier rust off, sprayed it with that rust encapsulator. Before I did that, I put a second coat of filler on in a couple spots that still needed some attention. So same process, gonna hit it with 80, then 180. We'll do a final wipe down, and we'll see if there are any more areas that need any attention, or if we can start cleaning out the holes for the bumper bolts and then start getting some vinyl on this thing. All right, what we're doing here is I'm taking this needle file and we're opening up the square holes that were in the bumper for our chrome carriage bolts. So when I applied the filler, I was a little sloppy with it, but I went over the holes And I want to make sure when we get the new bolts that they can fit through. So flat edge needle file, and we'll just go in and just work away at this filler. I'm pretty much just sanding until I hear the file itself hit metal, and then we know that we are at the right size. So did that one already, as you can see. I fillered right over it and then just opened it up, went through with the file. So I'll do the rest of the holes and then we'll come back, wipe this down with Prepsol. All right, so we have all of the square holes opened up. Next thing, we're just going to use some prep spray. All right, go over, clean the entire bumper. We'll probably end up doing this 2 or 3 times. And the reason for this is you want that vinyl to have as clean a surface as possible to stick to. All right, one more coat of rust reformer. Like I said, we'll coat the whole thing, because I want the vinyl to have a chance to stick basically to the same finish all the way around. We have the first piece kind of laid out. Just going to make a rough cut of where it needs to end. Do a final trim once we get it all laid out and flat. All right, so try and get the backing off. Go ahead and peel front layer off. Now basically just have to try and stretch this into position. Don't want to stretch it too much because you'll start to distort. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to put a little bit of tension on it and work out the small wrinkles that are unfortunately just part of working with vinyl. Kind of do the same thing on the bottom. Just give it a little bit of relief. That's why I keep pulling up on it. Sometimes manually take some of the wrinkles or the bubbles out of there. And while we're putting tension on it, I'm just going to come along with my finger and just try and press this into the bottom of the bumper so it sticks. Now I'm not too concerned with this area that I'm working on right here, because those little caps are going to go over either side. So that's going to give us a little bit of room for error. Again, I want to just make sure that any large wrinkles or air bubbles are pulled out of there. And then once they are, just come along and kind of work out the imperfections as much as we can. Some of these wrinkles relax. You don't want to pump too much on it, but just enough. You can kind of get it to work around some of the edges of the corners a little bit. So of course I started with the easiest part first, but centerpiece is done. I got to trim out the holes for the license plate bracket. There is a small wrinkle right there. The bottom side does not look good. But again, as long as we can get it to stick and not come off, I think we'll be in good shape, and that looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that. So let me trim out these 2 holes and cut the next piece, and we'll start working on the end caps, which I gotta be honest with you, I'm not too excited about because there are some curves on that one. All right, so time to tackle this next curved piece. So what I'm gonna do on this one is I'm gonna remove only part of the backing, just because I think that might make it a little bit easier trying to kind of manipulate the film where I want it to go. Peel half of that, and then lay this down. All right, so last piece for the front bumper. Did move you guys a little bit further away because my camera shut off twice because of the heat. So you guys are inside the garage right now, just fine because you can't see the imperfections from back there. Same kind of method for this side. Peel back and cut the backing, just because I don't want the entire piece sticking right off the bat. All right, so our front bumper is wrapped. Is it perfect? Not even close. Is it much better than what we had before? Without a doubt. Now, obviously, the two black strips that you see here and on the other side, those little bumperettes are going to go over. I think I may end up ordering new ones. The ones that were on here were pretty thrashed, much like the bumper, and just due to the shape of them, I actually tried off camera trying to wrap them. There's a lot of contours. It kind of comes to like a point, almost like a bullet. Very, very difficult to get the wrap around that. And like I said in the beginning of this video, I am a novice at best. Although I will say, I think the second side that I did went a little bit smoother. Like I said, overall, pretty happy with it. It looks much better than what we had. Again, we weren't going for perfect. This is not going to be some Barrett Jackson car. This is going to be a nice cruiser that you hopefully can hop in, take to a car show, not be embarrassed to be seen in. So it's going to have its little bumps and bruises here and there, but overall it'll be a solid car, and I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. Quick comparison. That's the back bumper that I still have to do, and then the front bumper, obviously, that we just worked on. So I'd say even with the imperfections in the front bumper, it is a pretty noticeable improvement from front to back. And like I said, once it cools down here a little bit, I'll get started on the back. I think the back's going to need a little bit more repair. Back here, there's some damage. Really just chrome that's flaking off. So do the same procedure for this that we did for the front. Sand everything down, thin coat of filler, and then we'll go from there. Probably gonna have to replace the bumperettes for the rear as well, because they're also pretty shot. Big difference front to back. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys very much for watching. If this is something you're considering doing, order a roll of vinyl. Give it a shot. Worst case, you peel the vinyl off and you start over again, or you send the bumpers out to get re-chromed, or you buy new ones. I think this is a pretty cost-effective solution for us, and I got some practice wrapping too. So I eventually want to wrap my Corvette, my truck, who knows what else. But thank you guys again. See you very soon.